Hey guys, Philip with Trade Genius here, and another crypto update. So kind of wanted to take a look at the big three, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. So without further ado, let's take a look at what we've got. First thing we're going to do is we'll take a look at Bitcoin. This is kind of the big picture. We've got a daily chart, and as you can see now, we've established a nice bullish price channel. And that started from kind of earlier this year, April, May, where things really started to take off. You know, we've had several price channels in the past, up and then down and up. But the thing about price channels is the wider they get, the more stable they get. So I'm pretty comfortable with this one right now. And we've kind of always said, you know, kind of a bold call, but we're maintaining about 10K by Q1 of 2018. And if you see this trajectory, by the time we start getting up into the high nines, you know, we're at April. If we go to the end of May, you know, we're at about 9,500. So kind of like the trajectory that we're on, I think is pretty realistic. So, you know, right now we're getting a little toppy on the daily. Now if we go and look at some other time frames, the price action actually has been less volatile than we've seen in the past with Bitcoin, but I like this kind of this moderate, you know, grind higher, if you will, and it's been taking out fib targets along the way. So actually, these are dips you can actually even trade, and we're going to come out with a signal that works on the smaller time frame, so that you can catch these dips, and it'll basically just give you a signal. And that would be more for if you're interested in very short-term type trades versus the swing type trades. So we'll be releasing that soon. But anyway, to get back to kind of the price action here. So, you know, we see right now Bitcoin's looking to break out of the prior highs here at 43.60, let's call it. And we did have a call last week of basically 4,400 would be where we thought this move would top out at. Now, we do see a bit of a bearish divergence here with RSI, which means that we're making highs while RSI is not making new highs. So that's called a bearish divergence, and vice versa. When you're making lows and making a new low and RSI doesn't make a new low, that's a bullish divergence, so that's a kind of a bull sign. But that being said, we're not really seeing that on the hourly, and like I said, on the daily, the oscillator is a little high in the overbought sense. So I think if we do get a few more dollars, we'll hit our initial target that we had of last week, and then we may pull back. I don't know if this trend line will hold, but we could see some pullback into this area here at the 4,000, maybe another pullback to 4,000, and then another move higher that would recharge this oscillator. You know, on the daily, the other thing we look at is RSI, and you don't really see a lot of major pullback until RSI starts breaking above, you know, into the upper 70s, and we're not quite there yet. So, you know, there's multiple things to look at, but I think we will probably see some more consolidation. I don't know how much of a I don't really foresee another pullback to this lower trend line yet until we start making more highs up here. That's my initial read on this, on the big picture daily. But as far as like the hourly goes, we're getting a little toppy. So if we get up here, you know, we might see another pullback rollover. But again, RSI isn't really, you know, if RSI starts poking its head above here, you can see we kind of like, once that happened, it kind of chopped. We did get a bearish divergence right here, and then a little bit of a rest. So you know, this moving average here is kind of like my high momentum moving average. So when you start seeing it break out like that, usually come back, tag that, it's good for a bounce. The secondary line is kind of like, if that fails, then it should come back down and meet it. Doesn't always happen, but as you can see, it happened here. Here it broke through. But you have to keep in mind too, this was some the China news I think came out as far as they were talking about regulating. There was some China news that came out in this area here. So again, this stuff is somewhat susceptible to news, obviously, and but as you can see, every time there's been some negative news that comes out, and you can just even take a look at this month, for example. If we go back to Jamie Dimon, he said Bitcoin's a fraud. That was back here. Bitcoin's a fraud, and this came down to, I think, our low, which we called out in the room. We said 3,000 was probably going to be the point at which this thing bounces, and sure enough it did, and it did on tremendous volume. The volume here is probably the highest concentration of volume in Bitcoin history as far as coming in, and that was all buying. Okay, so people saw that as an opportunity, the value place to put in their Bitcoin buys, and then sure enough, just grinded higher. This kind of move here, not super volatile, but it's a healthy move because it's a moderate type move up. So I don't mind seeing that. It's just a little bit more tame than what we've been used to. So, but there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so that takes us. Then we had some China FUD that came through, and I think there was some Korea came through, and Korea said they had some negative news on ICOs, but things like negative news on ICOs from Korea is kind of to me, that's just a non-starter in the realm of Bitcoin and Bitcoin value. I think people just knee-jerk across the board, and it could be some algo trading too that happens. But those are just anything ICO related. Really, if that affects Bitcoin price, then that's just a gift to get some more at a discount. Because in reality, Bitcoin and ICOs, that's just that's not really its sphere. That's more of a Ethereum affected type thing. So. But the collateral knee jerk seems to happen across the board. So to get back to where we're at, the other thing I wanted to show you guys was, if we look, okay, so this is a hourly chart, but if we look at the, let's just take a look at the daily one more time, and if we zoom in, one thing that I like to look at are the larger fib ranges, as you guys know, and we've cleared this major range from our previous high down to what we could call maybe the Jamie Dimon low, and now that we've cleared that, basically that tells me technically that the bears are now on their heels and the bulls have taken control. We have multiple fib targets that are kind of converging between 4,400 and 44, let's call it 80, 4,450, somewhere in there. And so I think that's kind of where we're headed here, and then likely we'd see a pullback to this trend line, and if that failed, probably somewhere down in this area to between 4,000 and 3,800 would be the extent of any kind of a pullback before we head higher, but we may not see that, so we'll see. Weekends, we're normally kind of seeing a lot of action. Haven't been seeing that too much on the weekends, although this one was a fairly decent as far as what we got for price. It just wasn't super volatile like some of the weekends have been in the past. Have been noticing that come start of trading day, like in Asia, so Sunday night in America, we start seeing some inflows and we start seeing moves higher. So maybe the characteristic has changed to where we start seeing more moves during the trading week. There is a lot of institutional money that's going to be flowing in, and I think it's just going to be more bullish bias for Bitcoin in the coming weeks and months. Okay, enough about Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Now, Litecoin, if we look on the daily chart, here's the thing with Litecoin. Being that it's where it's priced at right now, which is about $54 or so, which to me is a smoking, screaming deal. This is going to, I mean, I've said this before, it's probably going to do another Ethereum type run where you go from like this $50 area to into triple digits and never looking back. And Litecoin has a lot of things going on with it. Technology, they were the first to introduce SegWit, and they do have smart contract capabilities. And Charlie Lee, the developer, I think he's a great engineer. I think he could probably do better on the marketing side, but that's just not really his forte. So, but I think on the engineering side, he's doing a great job. I think that they're, now they're starting to look at more technology where Litecoin can do more of the anonymous type transactions that, say a currency like Monero, which hangs their hat on being totally anonymous. They're also working on some technology like that for Litecoin. So I think you're going to see, where a lot of times you're going to have Litecoin consolidate, and then you're going to get a burst higher. And you see that time and time again, like over here, pretty much a consolidation, and then a burst higher of 104%. And then that was followed up by another thrust up of 55%. And then it kind of fell back and consolidated. And then you had a big burst up of 133%. Then followed by a major, this started with, there was some Chinese negative news that came out, boom, and then it just had a extreme knee jerk of a minus 66%, moved down to the low, which, you know, that took about 2 weeks to finally capitulate. And that was on the Jamie Dimon. That was like the end of it, and then everything moved up off of that low, right? So that's just a thing with Litecoin. I think as more and more people get into it, again, things get a little more stable. With this move here, technically it was just a huge knee jerk. I mean, it broke out of the. We did have a channel that was running nicely, and not just this move up ripped it, and this move down ripped it. We'll need to see price. Basically, I would like to see another move up and then down to kind of take a look at where the price channel is. But my current target right now would be 120 in this area. So I think we do see another leg higher and make new highs. I think there's enough things going on in the pipeline with Litecoin that we could get an announcement on either a partnership or technological implementation that I think would really spark a lot of buyers and holders of Bitcoin, or I'm sorry, Litecoin. And definitely there's enough supply that it has about 4 more times the coins as Bitcoin. So if you looked at it from those terms in compared market cap, Litecoin should be, it should be several $100s higher at the very least. And I think that's coming. So this is the daily. Daily we are technically kind of topped out, but when we're kind of going sideways like that, the oscillations don't really, to me, have that much of an effect. You can see RSI is just kind of in the middle, so this could certainly break out higher. So we'll keep an eye on that. If we look at some shorter time frames, just kind of hugging this newer trend line that's developing, and if you look here, you kind of have this consolidating pennant formation. We can draw that real quick. So typically, it could fall back here and make another low, and the pennant would adjust. But I would be very anything that breaks this current trend line here higher, I think, would be fuel to the fire to see a decent move up. But it does have some work to do. As you can see, these red bear zones. So what I'm looking at is this $74 area. Get above that, and I think the party can really start. But I think it's gonna take a little while to get through that, unless we have some sort of announcement that comes out that would make that happen faster. Okay, Ethereum. Ethereum. What we liked on Ethereum was, so there's a couple things going on here. We're in a fairly large, what we would call like a pennant. So our call is that we're going to see to the top of this and probably another pullback. Again, it's got to fight through this. Bitcoin's made more work as far as getting through that all-time high to that latest low, the Jamie Dimon low. As you remember, Bitcoin made it through its bear fib zone. Ethereum's still grinding through it, and but I do think eventually it does break through that. Whether or not it breaks through this, I'm not. I think eventually we do. I think eventually we see, over 500, but I don't think that happens yet. I think we maintain this. So if you're in it, I would say hold it. I think this head and shoulder formation down here will definitely take us to this upper trend line, and what happens there, we'll see. Probably a pullback, and then maybe a little bit of chop, and then go higher. Kind of what I'm seeing. But as you can see here, volume-wise, a lot of volume came in, and this area here you know, basically 230 and above, good support volume wise. So it looks pretty bullish. Clear this bear fib zone, and that would kind of delete this downside target of 156, which technically is still in play. But you know, we've come into it, that bear fib zone once, and now we're in it again with a higher high. I think it's going bye-bye pretty soon. So that's kind of it for the big three. One thing I wanted to do was also talk about getting into our room. So basically, we have about another day of our special, and what that would give you is our course 1 through 7, and it's essentially, if you just aren't familiar with crypto, then you want to learn about it, you want to get into it, start a portfolio, this course is for you. It's going to start from course 1 through 7. First part of it is going to be basically just nuts and bolts from the beginning. You know, it's down to what's currency and how does this all play into cryptos. And then we're going to take it from there to kind of more the advanced trading side, where what coins you should be vested in as like your core part of your portfolio. Then the altcoins that you should probably be looking at, and then also maybe some speculative type plays that would have a high return. But so we kind of cover those three. Also, then we also talk about how to set up your charts so that you can trade like how we do. And then it's also going to give you 1 free year of our trading room, and I think it's probably the best room on the net. I mean, we've got some really good minds in there. We've got guys with PhDs, we've got engineers, guys that have been trading a long time, and I think you really enjoy the mindset of that room. And it's really good, especially when we're going through volatile times, to have a lot of feedback of what's going on, where we should be holding on, what are areas of concerns, and things like that. So I think it's a super good value. And what I'm going to do is I'll show you basically what you want to do is you want to navigate to TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And let's do this. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to navigate to TradeGeniusAcademy.com. All right. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go down to the cryptocurrency complete course lessons 1 through 7, includes a 1-year subscription to the room. Just click on that. And then you're going to add to cart. Now it's $7.99, that's our normal price, but we're going to show you how to get 50% off that. And I think that with the room is just an excellent deal. Just the room itself. Coupon, apply the coupon. It's going to be you want to put this code in here, make money. That'll be active for 1 more day, and that'll get you down to 400 for the course and the room access. And the room access, like I said, that in and of itself is worth 400. I think the money you'll make on a couple of the trades will more than pay for this this course, but fair value for what you get, and it's a good starter course if you are looking to get into crypto. Anyway, so that's wanted to let you guys know about that, and you know, hope we see you guys in the room. We'll have more updates coming out this week on crypto, and so I hope you have a really good trading week. For the guys in the room, we'll have a member video coming out, and that's pretty much it. So you guys have a great weekend, and I hope you have a great week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.